Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. The time is 6:30 p.m. I'm John DeWanzik, and this is the regular meeting of the Avon Lake Board of Municipal Utilities. With me tonight are fellow board members. To my right, Mr. Ricky and Mrs. Schnabel, and to my left, Mr. Rush. Mr. Mondello is unable to be at tonight's meeting, and he is accordingly excused. Nevertheless, with 4 members, we still require a vote of 3 to pass any measures that are the subject of motions. And all motions are taken by voice vote, with the exception of a motion to go into executive session, of which one is expected tonight. The meeting is being streamed on Facebook and Zoom, and if you are in that audience viewing the meeting, you may give public input at the time that is called for, and Mr. Urinich at the table will be monitoring that. Also with me tonight, not on the board, but staff members, Bill Logan, the finance director, and Chief Utilities Executive Rob Monroe. Also with us tonight is Tyler Berry from outside counsel Mansur Gavin, and Officer Reiber from Avon Lake Police Department. No guests other than that tonight. Mr. Rush, since I went out of order with my usual routine, did I catch everything?
I believe you did.
Okay, so with that having been said, we will go on to the first order of business, which is the approval of minutes from the October 21st meeting. Are there any editorial comments on those?
We have 2 sets.
Okay, well, let's do the work session first of all. Any comments on those? Okay, hearing none, they are approved as submitted. And then secondly, the regular meeting minutes from October 21st. Are there any comments on those? Hearing none, they are approved as submitted. Next item of business is public input. There's no one here in the audience. Mr. Urinich, is there anyone in cyber world?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we'll move on from that to correspondence. That's typically the domain of our Chief Utilities Executive, Mr. Monroe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one item to pass along correspondence-wise. We recently had our sanitary survey and inspection at the water filtration plant. We did receive our correspondence from Ohio EPA, and there were no findings. Several items that they did comment on, but there were no violations. And as we expected, Mr. Gibney and staff at the water filtration plant are running a tight ship. So
Good.
That is all I have to pass along this evening.
Good, thank you, Mr. Monroe. Any comments on that from the board? Okay, we'll move on then to expenditures on your goldenrod sheets. Would someone like to make the motion to approve the expenditures?
I will.
Mr. Ricky.
I move to approve the expenditures for Avon Lake Regional Water dated October 17th through October 30th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schnabel. Discussion. Mr. Ricky.
Yeah, 701, item 17, water employees, longevity. I understand we pay that by union contract, but we really missed the budget on that. It looks like we've went way over what we had budgeted for that. I'm just kind of curious. We do a pretty good job on that, and that one we missed pretty big this year.
Mr. Logan can address that.
Mr. Ricky, yeah, the way we budgeted this year, if you remember, we had 2 new funds. So we had 4 major funds altogether, 701, 723, which is the water distribution, and then the 2 sewer funds. So we just didn't budget the right way among those 4 for the longevity. If you look at the other funds in here, we were well under budget. So
Okay.
in total, we were under the overall budget.
Okay.
We will offset that either with a supplemental appropriation later in the year or a transfer of
Okay.
appropriation.
I
We
just, like I
missed
say,
just on this fund.
we're doing pretty well. You know, I've learned from our chairman, I like to look at that number and we've been doing pretty good job on that number this year on the percent of budget remaining. And that one just jumped out at me as I looked over it this afternoon.
Right.
So
Overall, we're under. And
All right.
Next year, that won't happen.
that's a good explanation. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Ricky?
The only other thing I couldn't find, and I'm still just kind of trying to figure out where it would be, and I think you said it was under 723, is the construction fund, is the money we spent on our bleach program. Where are we keeping track of what's being spent on the
onsite-
trial?
The
On-site,
offsite
yeah,
generation.
on-site generation.
It's Fund 704.
704.
And for this 2-week period, I was looking at this, there were very little expenses there incurred.
Um,
But shouldn't there be,
I think, I think what you're thinking, Mr. Ricky, is we talked about at our budget meeting 2 weeks ago,
right,
is in the new budgets for 2026, we have a sub-fund that we're tracking all costs related to this on-site sodium hypochlorite.
well, what are we
system.
doing in 2025 for that cost that we
Well,
put into?
it's paid for out of the 704 fund, the construction fund, because it's under construction.
But again, for this.
But it's not itemized out of that fund.
Well, when there's an expenditure, it is, but there's no expenditures.
Well, somewhere you're going to pull together the costs of this project, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
we'll know what it's costing us to
I mean,
produce bleach.
Mr. Logan has that
Okay.
tracked.
And we're keeping track of our employees' time over there and all the money we're spending.
We are, now the employee's time isn't coming out of 704 per se, and that's coming out of whatever fund those employees are
No,
allocated
we
in.
still need to,
But all the project initiation and everything
Contracts.
is getting tracked through 704.
okay, but employees' time is important too, because we've done a lot of the work ourselves over there.
Right.
With our guys, so we need to incorporate that in the totals as we look at the profitability of this whole.
We'll summarize
setup.
it that way, yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
I think that's a good point that Mr. Ricky made there, is that some other budget is going to look bad because that money hasn't been accounted for in the project. So it might be worthwhile to at least, maybe not on this report, but like on some report, know what the whole project cost and like what portion of the allocation comes out of employee salary.
You know,
So it's a good point.
And I bring that up as also the building out back. You know, we did a lot of the work with our guys. So what was the true cost of putting that building up, the additional storage building, when our guys did all the finishing of the concrete and everything else?
No, they didn't.
Well, they did some setup on it. They did some work on it.
They did some work
You
on
know.
it, but they did not do the finishing. We paid, we bid that out and contracted
Wow.
that work out.
I just like,
Truthfully, I would like to, again, support Mr. Ricky's idea, not from a standpoint of nitpicking, but from the standpoint of accounting for the asset the way it actually stands there, rather than, we only paid $2 million for it, but really it was like $2.3 million, and we might be accounting for the asset later incorrectly. And I'm sure you and Mr. Monroe have been, poring over some of the things that I've been aiming Mr. Monroe towards, is like just kind of like being on top of what is the value of the assets that we have, because at some point or other, including sometimes we have visitors here that accuse us of various things, but they're not understanding like the assets are actually growing. You actually have a successful business regardless of the line by line details. Every line looks right, but like you don't know that you've actually grown the business, and future paperwork will demonstrate that. But you want to accurately portray what that value is. And you could do that, I guess, by later doing those appropriations that we've been doing the last few years and moving money from, say, the salaries to, and benefits to whatever fund. I know it on the surface, it's going to seem very complicated, but I think once you set it up, it's pretty smooth.
I guess my only concern goes back to our budget meeting we had last week and the budgets we're going to approve, is when somebody's time is put into a project and it's billed as distribution, because that's where they work out of, we build a budget based on those hours. We may have 1 man year of hours put into a project that we're using to build our budget for the following year. That's my concern. Do you understand? I make myself
There's
clear?
many aspects to it, not just
Yeah.
what you and I have said, but I think the point is well taken that
That's
like
all.
even if you're providing labor as a substitute for contract labor, it all goes into like the value of something versus like the people that are there in the water plant, monitoring things. That's kind of straight up operating costs, but like what other people are doing isn't necessarily in that category.
And that's what I'm just saying is when, we do an excellent job of charting people's hours that go down to Lorco. We're doing a heck of a job keeping track of the money and booking it, I guess is the right term, correct? Mr. Monroe, booking it.
And I think that's the good point, Mr. Ricky. I think we can treat this like we're billing. We can have billable hours because they are keeping track of all the hours
Okay.
that our people are putting in. We can extend
But
that and
yeah.
calculate dollars. We can actually bill internally this offsite.
Yeah.
And I
Generation
think
fund.
a good example, aside from Lorco, how you mentioned, is the ETL.
ETL,
Both ETLs.
right.
That's because
You've got to keep track of all that.
and I guess from an accounting standpoint, their salaries are paid out of the funds that they're allocated to as an employee. We then in turn bill the other funds.
Right.
We get that money back as revenue. It doesn't replace it back in the budget fund.
Right. Yeah. See, and that's where I'm thinking these
But
budgets
it's
can be a little skewed.
But we've of course every month we bill the ETLs. We could certainly do, reappropriate it back if we wanted to, but again, then that just reinflates the salary budget.
I think we
But
can work something
Again,
out.
my concern just went back to the budgets. We're using numbers for employees and salaries that it's not all on distribution, but we're putting our distribution budget together based on the hours that were worked by all the guys,
Right.
whether it was in distribution or was on a project. That's where I came up with, how do we know that what's going on? That's my only concern.
Well, again,
And-
to reiterate, we want to be transparent because there are people that come in here and say that we're not transparent. And to the extent that that's not easily discoverable, we shouldn't do it. We should just like do the accounting more thoroughly and no shade on anybody not being thorough, but like we want to be able to say, we know exactly what we paid for this. And, and when somebody says you're giving something away, well, how do you know what we're giving away? Because you don't really have the accounting of everything. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, all right.
That's all I have.
I think we run a tight ship, as
Yeah,
Mr.
no.
Monroe says, but I think we could stand, a little more detail to, even if the detail is only seen by the executives here, it's like we can produce what did we spend on this. And, look, when you hear about some mid-level guy at the city of Cleveland Water stealing $1 million, like that's because something wasn't detailed down to the last gnat's eyelash. That did happen like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. Like literally, let's say somebody at the level of plant, operator, the main operator at the plant, like, where'd this money go? And like nobody was accounting for it. So you don't want that. We do try to run a tight ship, as Mr. Monroe gave credit to Mr.
Just-
Gibney.
I have one other item I forgot here.
Go
Number
ahead.
52 on page 1 of 701.
I got that one too, but go ahead.
Okay. We're
That,
thinking,
that is our annual renewal for property casualty liability insurance.
just curious, up or down?
It went up.
It was up.
If you
Yeah.
recall, last year at this time, it went up significantly because we finally had input in the schedule
Oh,
of values
That's right.
of all of our assets versus let's just say an antiquated formula that was used
By the city.
prior. So it did go up a little bit.
Right. And the other thing is they did change insurance companies as well. They went to Travelers with this year's policy, and they're on it again for this next year. So we were short on what we had budgeted, but we knew, like Mr. Monroe said, we knew it was going to go up based on the values and the allocations between the city and Avon Lake Regional Water. So in that case, I think 3 of the 4 funds we did exceed the budget with, and I will be coming
For
with
an,
a supplemental
Supplemental,
appropriation for that.
Yeah, I just was curious more than anything is what's that going up, you
Because
know?
if you recall, we even, again, during the process last year, we found that several of our assets were significantly underinsured.
Underinsured, yeah.
And so this is, even though it has gone up,
Mhm.
again, the value of the assets, like I was
Yes.
highlighting earlier. And Mr. Ricky, you'll also notice that item 38 on the
Yeah.
721 is the same
Yep.
payee. And so it's really 150 grand for that. But I did want to question Mr. Monroe about, I believe that we're pooling this with the city, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
how is it determined, what proportion we pay versus the city? Obviously, we have separate operations, and there must be some formula that's used. Can you illuminate that for us?
yes, and this goes back to last year on the renewal process that Mr. Logan was very heavily involved in with the city, is having those schedule of values of all the assets. We also undertook last year a full accounting appraisal of all of our assets. The city also decided to move forward with it as well, which to our knowledge was the first time that had ever been done. Okay. So we had, from an insurance perspective, they say this is what we feel it's worth and should be insured for. And then we had an accounting appraisal done from a separate company. So I think for the most part, they were pretty close.
That works out very well.
Yeah. So for how it's determined, its prior formula was fund balance and what your budget was. Well, we were paying well more than 50%
Yeah.
of the total premium because we had very large budget. And I hammer this home with staff all the time is we will pay our fair share for whatever it may be. So if that means it goes up, so be it. We want to make sure though it's accurate.
Yeah, and we're insured
And
properly.
yes,
Absolutely.
The schedule of values is the Jackson Deacon, who is the broker that we deal with, they provide the whole schedule of all of those, everything that's insured, and it's broken out by our assets and then whatever the remaining assets are the cities. And so that's how the percentage is actually figured out.
Okay, well, that's an excellent, again, segue into the thing that we talked about earlier, you and I, about like the fact that we have not just operated the utility and provided, high quality, low price water and sewer to lots of people, but the actual assets are growing as they would in a company that stays in business. And this is somewhat distinguished from typical government. And again, not particularly any one that I'm, talking about locally, but like there really isn't like the kind of thing like to say, you as a shareholder, not that there's investors in this, but like you as a shareholder own something in XYZ company. If the asset value grows, then you would say that there's been proper stewardship by management. And you want that whether you're a public or private thing, but most governments do not consider shareholders, even though there are stakeholders. The stakeholders don't have enough of a understanding of what the value of everything is versus the taxes or rates that they're charged or whatever. So this will enable that kind of thing to make a permanent accounting of this is what we have done, not just sat here and look how nice I look, every week, every couple of weeks. It's like we're actually doing something other than, holding meetings to fill time. Mr. Rush.
Across all four funds, then we're in excess of $200,000.
Correct. 212.
Right. So
The total policy cost,
do,
yes.
do we save money by paying these annually? Or are we intending to do it monthly?
I think, in my experience, even when I was with Avon for 15 years, we always paid annually. They were always
Okay.
billed annually. I could raise the question with the Jackson Deacon people, but
And usually it costs more to do that, so I'm assuming we want to save some money.
I don't know for sure. I can find out.
Thank you.
In any case, it all should be based on what's the value of the assets, including the insurance,
Right.
Yes.
because that's what they have to replace if they burn down or whatever. Okay, wore that one out a little bit, but anyone else with comments on the expenses? Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of approving the expenses, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Okay. The next one is cybersecurity resolution, and you'll see in your packet you have a cybersecurity policy. I assume that you all have read it. Is there anything you would like to discuss about it? Clearly, what we're not doing is saying we're going to do, section 1.1.2.3.4, et cetera. We're because cybersecurity is something that you would want to not advertise to your potential attackers. So this is a general policy that is to be implemented by the staff and not a publicly discoverable document. Is that correct, Mr. Monroe?
That is correct. And where this, obviously, we've taken cybersecurity measures for a number of years. And this year with when the budget, the state of Ohio passed their 2-year budget for the years 26 and 27, there was section 9.64 of the Ohio Revised Code that was enacted that requires political subdivisions, which we would fall under, political subdivision of the state, to formally adopt cybersecurity policy in accordance with certain standards. And so we have done that, but we have also taken another step and in coordination with our continuous improvement across the organization. And the policy itself is exempt from public records per the Ohio Revised Code. So we do not have that for public consumption. But this resolution that we have is what we would need to the board to pass, adopt this resolution so that we can implement it. We will be audited by the Auditor of State annually for this. So to make sure we're in compliance. So we do have the proposed cybersecurity policy resolution number 2025-04.
Okay. Would someone like to make the motion?
I will.
Okay, Mrs. Schnabel,
I move for passage of resolution number 2025-04, cybersecurity policy, and direct the CUE to implement a cybersecurity policy in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 9.64, and to be effective from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
thank you, Mrs. Schnabel. Is there a
I
second?
second.
Second by Mr. Ricky. Discussion. Well, following the motion, assuming it passes, Mr. Rush and I will be signing along with adding the votes to the document, therefore turning it immediately into an official policy. So is there any other comments on that? All right, then, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. You got it? Okay. All right. Passed on November 4th. Mr. Rush. There was somebody named Rush that signed the Declaration of Independence, if I'm not mistaken, in Congress. Am I correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. He's a son of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, yeah, nobody with my name signed it. Let's see. Now, next item is property purchase. Mr. Monroe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item is in regard to our ETL project. There is a parcel, and I will pull up an aerial image for you on your screen so that you can get somewhat of an idea of this very narrow parcel. What you're looking at is you Sweetbriar Golf Course on the north side of the tracks, and the parcel, the box in the middle of the screen. It's the turquoise line depicts the parcel. It's owned by Koff Construction. When we were seeking the easement for the new ETL1 pipe,
I see.
they expressed interest that they would donate the parcel to us. We didn't feel that was appropriate. We felt we should pay our fair share. And the appraised value of that in the most recent countywide reassessment is $2,500. So we do have a property purchase agreement here for that parcel. We were provided environmental report when Koff purchased this parcel. Was part of a much larger parcel, the Avon Commerce Parkway. And when they had originally acquired that property, there was environmental work done. They provided that report. It was provided to legal counsel and professionals for review, and there was nothing that would cause any alarm for us. Again, as you can see, the parcel is not, you can't develop it. It is a very thin, narrow parcel. There is a current easement there with First Energy. And again, there's plenty of space for us for what we need. But we do have that purchase agreement for the board's consideration tonight.
Okay. Also included in your packet is the purchase agreement and some attendant paperwork that goes with it. Again, I assume that the board has read these, and now would be the time to get any clarifications from Mr. Monroe. One of the things that I notice is as is condition of property, and that clause states as is, where is, with all faults. So my question for Mr. Monroe is, any known faults on the title or anything else?
There is not.
Okay. That's all I have at this point. Does anyone else have questions about the agreement? I assume it's a relatively standard agreement.
It is. And the next steps would obviously be with other property that we acquire, we will go to council and have them approve it as well. But this is a pretty straightforward transaction.
Okay. Again, just as, has it again been, shall we say, questioned in what's the board's interest in acquiring properties? Well, here's a perfectly obvious example of why the board should be acquiring properties that are part of its own infrastructure when we go to extend pipes and install pipes and so on. This would be much less of a problem if we were the owners of it. So, again, any comments from the board on the agreement or the resolution? If there is not, we can move on to making a motion to approve it. Anyone who would like to do that?
Sure.
Sure, Mr. Rush.
Okay, I move to authorize the CUE to execute a purchase agreement with Cough Construction Corporation for the purchase of Lorraine County parcel, permanent parcel number 04-00-021-000-203 in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Ricky. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll close discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
It is approved.
Thank you.
In terms of square feet, a pretty good price.
I
per
think
square
so.
foot?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I think it's fair.
Yeah,
Fair
I
price.
would think it's relatively inexpensive.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Next item is Mr. Urinich. You're in charge of sludge hauling and disposal. Would you like to tell us all about that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next couple are all contracts that are up at the end of the year. We had put those out for competitive bid and have the results of those. This is the contract for the sludge hauling disposal that expires at the end of the year. It will be for a 3-year period beginning January 1st of 2026, running through and including December 31st of 2028. There was a total of 4 bids. The one selected came in, what we feel, significantly lower than the others. Republic Services currently has the bid, and they have the lowest bid for the next 3-year period.
Okay. Mr. Urinich, can you tell us about the quantity of sludge that is carried away from the wastewater treatment plant annually?
9,800 tons.
Okay. Everyone contributes a little bit, and some goldfish and alligators. Okay. The hauler that you're recommending is Republic Services. How's their bid look versus historical?
Shown here, 25% difference between the last bid. That was bid in 2022, obviously the 3 years of that contract.
There has been
And
considerable inflation since.
I mean, everything has gone up, but that's a pretty reasonable increase.
Okay.
May I-
Questions from anyone else?
Yes.
Mrs. Schnabel?
May I ask what it means when it says exceptions noted by all 4 bidders?
Let's see.
In your bid package, there was the exception sheets contained in there. On the exception on Republic Services had to do with just a disclaimer that should government regulatory fees increase, that they would pass those along.
I see.
That wasn't the case during our current bid, and that was language that they had in their previous bid as well.
It was in there before,
Yes,
so it's pretty standard.
yes, it is. Now
And did
on,
we see that a change? from
no, we did not. We did not see any change the 3 years with them. Other exceptions were prevailing wage requirements was one bidder. There was, an exception from one bidder about their workers' compensation. They don't provide the entire policy. They would provide certificate of insurance proving that they have coverage. And then they also, whereas Republic's price is a set price for all 3 years of the agreement. For instance, Quasar had a 2.5% escalator each year in the contract.
Didn't we used to use Quasar?
We use, it's a good point, Mrs. Schnabel. We still use Quasar.
Oh, they're for the-
Quasar hauls
Okay.
from the monofill,
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
which that price is about, that's what they call a beneficial reuse product, meaning they're permitted through Ohio EPA to utilize that product in their process.
Yeah.
So they haul that off site for us at about half the cost of what the tipping fees would be for hauling this sludge.
Okay.
So it's a significant savings for us having that separate contract
Yeah.
with Quasar.
Okay.
Who weighs this stuff? Do we have a scale?
No, it's manifested when it's from the landfill.
Oh, okay, they weigh it there.
Correct.
Okay, I just didn't think we had a scale, so I wasn't sure who weighed it.
Okay.
There is one. Isn't there one in front of the wastewater plant?
There is from the fly ash,
Fly ash.
Yeah.
former fly ash
Is
property.
that something we want to acquire?
We own it.
Oh,
We do own it,
Okay.
and they have used it. ALERG has used it occasionally here,
Yeah.
weighing some of their scrap and whatnot. So it is ours.
okay. Should we then, according to Mr. Ricky's question, should we just do our own weighing? Or you feel comfortable with what we've been doing?
I feel comfortable with the way that they do it now, because number one, we would have to have someone staff that scale property to do that. That's not a regular activity that is continually happening, 7 days a week. So
Right.
it would not be very efficient for us to do it. But of course, if there was any question on anything, we certainly would have that as a fallback.
Okay. I guess you have to have the Bureau of Weights and Measures certified, and
Yes.
tested periodically and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's an asset that I guess we acquired with that property. So.
Yes, it is.
All right, there is a proposed motion. Did you make it, Mr. Schnabel?
No.
Okay. There's a proposed motion, then I'll make it. I'll take some of the weight off. I move to authorize the CUE to direct a contract with Republic Services effective January 1st, 2026, and expiring on December 31st, 2028, for the hauling and disposal of sanitary sewage sludge per the engineer's certified bid tabulation dated October 17th, 2025. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rush. Any further comments? Okay, closed discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is approved. The next item continues us with Mr. Urinich, and that is the water meter bid, Mr. Urinich.
So this is for the water meters that we use throughout our system, monitor our customers' usage and bill based off of that. This is a 3-year contract with an option for a 4th year at the same cost. We have recommended motion here for Ferguson Enterprises. They had submitted the bids for all of these meters.
Okay, are they holding the price constant throughout the 4 years? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. So it would be it's a 3-year contract with an option for a 4th year with no price increase.
Okay,
But the bid prices on this, on the bid tab would be held for all years of the contract.
Well, that's a good forecast on the economy, isn't it?
It is, and from our, again, with these multi-year contracts, like on the sludge and the water meters, for a budgeting forecasting standpoint for us, this is a great asset for us.
Okay, good. Okay,
These
any
are
questions for Mr. Urinich?
just,
Mr. Ricky?
yeah, these are approximate quantities and we're not bound on any of these quantities. These are just if we order. Do we keep some of these on the shelf?
Yes,
So
the 5/8 by 3/4, the 3/4, the 1 inch. Those are our most
We're
widely
using them
used
all the time.
in the system. Those are primarily our residential and also sprinkler meters. We do have some inventory of 2 inch meters. Again, that may be, say, a new subdivision, and they have the common area that they're going to have a sprinkler system. There'll be a 2 inch tap for that.
Right.
So yeah, some of them we do. Ferguson is the vendor. The meters are Master Meter is the company. So they rep Master Meter. Ferguson on those 5/8 by 3/4, the 3/4, the 1 inch, the 2 inch, they keep an inventory of our spec meters. So it's as simple as we call them up and say, we need a pallet of 5/8 by 3/4. And within a couple days we have them. So
If I'm reading this correctly, is it 8.5% over the 4-year period is all the, oh, I'm sorry, that's the last item.
yeah, that was the last bid item.
But the average looks like it's 8.5% over a 4-year period. That's pretty darn good.
And I will tell you that what we've experienced on this contract with Ferguson, our current contract, there has been times that they've invoiced us for meters that the price is less than what their contract bid price is. So they do extend us a savings if there is one. So I would certainly say that's good business on their behalf.
Who else bid this?
They are the only ones.
I was going to say.
And part of that has to do with the infrastructure, building out our meter system. It has to be compatible with existing infrastructure. And while you can retrofit, it's cost prohibitive.
Gotcha. So, okay. Very good.
So, Mr. Ricky, would you like to make a
Let me
motion?
find it now. I move to authorize the COE to execute a contract with Ferguson Enterprises LLC, DBA Ferguson Waterworks, effective January 1st, 2026, expiring on December 31st of 2028 for the purchase of water meters and other appurtenances per the engineer's certified tabulation bid tabulation dated October 8th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Schnabel. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll close discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay, the annual chemical supply bid, Mr. Urinich.
All right. So this one is a little bit different because this will just be for 1 year. Right around time that the supply chain issues and the whole period of kind of that uncertainty, we had gone from bidding our chemicals for a 12-month period. We had gone to a 6-month period because of the volatility of a lot of those costs. Things have stabilized much more. This one will be for a 12-month period that we are bidding these chemicals. And so we have, there's a couple of different, obviously, low bidders as each chemical is bid individually. But we have a recommended motion for those contracts.
Okay, Mr. Monroe, you have something to add?
I would just add, I do have up on the screen our comparison. You can see several of our chemicals, the cost did go down, decrease, which is good.
Represented by negative.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're shaded in the blue shade there. I would note that on this bid, this is actually a first for me in the, I guess, 27 plus years of doing this similar work. that we had two bidders bid the exact same price. So we did have a legal opinion from the law director regarding this. One of the bids was deemed unresponsive because of their exceptions. So we did recommend the award to the other company, and that was on our carbon, our activated carbon. So we do have a recommended motion, and I would, in this instance, ask if Mrs. Schnabel, she has the privilege, because it seems every year she would always read this when we had to read it line item by line item by line item. Whereas this year we are able to award it based on the engineer's certified bid tabulation.
Okay.
I
So,
move-
Mrs. Schnabel, would you like to accommodate Mr. Monroe's request?
Sure. I move to authorize the CUE to execute the necessary contracts for the purchase of chemicals per the engineer's certified bid tabulation dated October 31st, 2025. These contracts shall take effect January 1st, 2026 and expire on December 31st, 2026.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Schnabel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rush. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll close this discussion and ask for a vote. All in favor of the annual chemical supply bid per the engineer's certified bid tabulation, please respond aye if you support that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Aye, so that's all four of us. All right, the next item is the annual distribution supplies bid, and I believe this will be handled similarly. Mr. Monroe, Mr. Urinich, do you have anything to add to the foregoing, other than this is a supplies versus chemicals?
Yes.
I do not. This would be a very unfortunate one to have to read line item by line item.
Which we have done.
We do read line by line. Well, the penalty for getting the short one, Mrs. Schnabel, you have to read the long one now.
Yeah.
You do such a nice job with
No,
it.
they're again, similar to the chemicals bid. I would just add that, again, we are going back to an annual bid versus the biannual that we've done for the last 4 years. And while we did see some increase, I think the most notable was in copper tubing. We saw an increase in price on this bid. But again, that's a market factor with copper being one of the metals. But we did see some items that did go down. I know in the past, Mr. Rush has asked the question because there were some items that we did not receive a bid on. And from our standpoint, we have complied with the Ohio Revised Code and publicly bid this project. Those certain line items, because they are under the bidding threshold for that specific line item, we can procure those from wherever we can find them. And when we talk to the bidders why they don't submit a bid, it's because some of the items are special order items. So for them to hold a price for 6 months or even a year is unrealistic for them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so in reality, Mrs. Schnabel, you don't have to
No.
read every item. But if you'd like to make the motion, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. I move to authorize the CUE to execute a contract with Core and Main effective January 1st, 2026, expiring December 31st, 2026, for the purchase of various water distribution supplies per the engineer's certified bid tabulation dated October 23rd, 2025.
Second.
Okay, and moved by Mrs. Schnabel, second by Mr. Ricky. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll close discussion. Everyone in favor of the vote, please say aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Next one is 2026 budget, Mr. Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 weeks ago, we did have a work session where we presented the operating budgets for the 2026 budget year. And based on questions, comments, and feedback from the board members. We do have those budgets this evening. There was no changes to any of the totals from our presentation from 2 weeks ago. In your board packets, there was a memorandum that outlines what we would need to authorize. So just to go over the major funds, the water filtration plant, the sewer treatment plant, the sewer collection fund, and the water distribution fund, we approve the totals of the two classifications in those budget funds, one being personnel and the other being the other category. So we do have those amounts, and we list those. The second page included our ETL funds, our West Ridge Interconnect Fund, the Worco Custodial Fund, our construction funds for water and sewer. All in all, Mr. Logan, for our operating funds, could you please tell the board what our total fund budget expenses equal?
Our operations, basically the compensation and all operating expenses is about $29 million for next year. Add debt service onto that, and we're at about $37 million. And then we've got a large amount of capital in the budget for next year in the construction funds of about $40 million. So total budgeted expenses are at $78 million for next year.
Okay.
But 40 million of that again is capital.
All right. Any questions on that for Mr. Monroe? Well, I'll make the motion then. I move for passage of 2026 budget funds as presented in the memorandum dated October 31st, 2025. Furthermore, I direct the business and financial coordinator to forward the 2026 budget funds to the finance director for inclusion in the necessary 2026 appropriations. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rush. Any further discussion? We have looked at this over the past two meetings, so probably shouldn't be too many questions tonight. So we'll close discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Okay, next item is Mr. Urinich, and he will give us his usual information-packed discussion on projects.
All right. Brief update on the power plant. Trifecta was the subcontractor that handled all of the demolition. They have demobilized. They do still have a couple of pieces of equipment lined up waiting to be moved to the next project, but their work has been finished as far as the site work. ALERG and Chara, they are planning on being off-site by the end of November. Unless anything in there, if there would be any additional scope added to their contract. But they did not have an answer whether they expected that, but they're planning to be done with their work, like I said, by the end of this month.
Okay, any questions on that for Mr. Urinich? Okay, proceed, Mr. Urinich.
Now it's time for some pictures. So at the water filtration plant, as
That
part
looks
of the
great.
That's great.
It's great. That is in the new chemical feed building, the meter vault. The raw water line run into the rest of the plant. There's a new metering installed in that. The more accurately we can measure the water coming in, the more accurately we can dose our chemicals. So they have gotten that installed there. This is on top of the flocculation basins. As I had shown a picture previously, the clear wells that are exposed, they are concrete, exposed to the weather. They had a coating that was reaching the end of its useful life. They're finishing up the work on the higher up structure. They still had a couple of concrete repairs to finish, but they're looking to be done with that within the next week or so. Here we move on to the 4 new filters that are being constructed. They are continuing vertical work now. They have poured the columns that will support the roof. They have done the walkways around the filters. And I believe the next picture will show they're starting to pour the concrete roof for that. Obviously doing that in sections so that each section can be formed and cured individually. So they're progressing nicely with that. Next week, Engineered Fluid Incorporated, the one that produced the fluoride feed building, they're going to be on site. We'll be filling those tanks with water, doing the startup with that. So as I'd mentioned before, is one of our safety standard procedures. Anytime we have a new chemical feed system, we'll fill the tanks with drinking water, treated drinking water, and then monitor the startup of the chemical feed pumps that way. That way we can get an idea, ensure that there are no issues. Everything can be troubleshooted while we're dosing drinking water. So that's just a good way to get a handle on the new equipment, make sure there are no surprises, and we can then once we pass all of our acceptance testing, by the end of the month, we should be getting our first delivery of the hydrofluorosilicic acid and get away from the powdered fluoride that we've used in the past.
Questions for Mr. Urinich? I question your use of the word troubleshooted. Would you like another try at that?
Wasn't sure where else to kind of go with that.
Troubleshot, maybe?
Troubleshot.
Got creative.
Troubleshooting should occur.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else from your standpoint, Mr. Urinich?
Not from the water filtration plant. We'll
Okay.
move on to TechWin.
All right.
We were kind of in a holding pattern. We were waiting delivery of a replacement probe. We kind of briefly mentioned that at the last meeting. There was a bit of a delay with that probe. We've gone ahead and ordered backups for those so that if we were to run an issue again, that was not originally deemed, I guess, a wear item that TechWin provided contractually. We've kind of been going through our own lists and kind of keeping an idea of what we feel is necessary to have on hand, because in the event that we were ever operate a system like this, we would have our own list of things that we would want to have to ensure that there's no downtime. And
Is this probe is obviously in a process stream?
correct.
Yes.
The process stream is either abrasive or corrosive, which one, or both?
Corrosive. I mean, it's the probes are designed for it. We think this issue stems to when the unit was shipped. They had done their assembly. The probe sat for, by the time it was up and operational, probably about 8 or 9 months. We
It
think
may have corroded in the air.
it could have dried out. It could have just been not properly stored for that extended period of time. We use these probes, different manufacturer, but we have various probes of the same type at our plants. But given the startup, we want to make sure we're using the same equipment that they had specified.
Okay. So you'll have to create some kind of a procedure with regard to the operation of the hypochlorite production facility that says, here's how you store this.
Correct. We have a staff that's very detail oriented, and so I think our standard operating procedures will be very detailed as far as what we need to have on hand. And that's something that we're kind of working with TechWin to develop, that, we think these are things that should be specified that you would want backups of.
Okay. Question for Mr. Urinich? Mr. Rush?
More of the future. If this is a successful pilot program and we decide to add more, does it become more, quote unquote, Americanized? And if it does, how do we have to maintain spares for 2 different types of systems, or do we make sure that all our systems are similar?
If they were to enter the U.S. market, on a larger scale, there's a lot of things that would need to be standardized. I mean, even starting with the electrical equipment. I mean, 480 3-phase is standard here. You know, there was a lot of work that went into designing the step down transformers to go from 380 volts, 380 volts. Things like that, they would obviously want to accommodate the market that they're entering. And so these are things, you know, we've got a list that suggestions of what they would want to standardize towards this area.
And how does that affect us?
Well, from our standpoint, we have our bid specifications that we would have to bid the project because of the price tag, and they would have to meet our specifications. Now, the system, while there's a lot to it, for the most part, it's a very simple system, though. So we can make it work to our specifications. But right now, in the pilot phase, we are sticking with everything that they've provided to make sure we run it through all its paces.
Yes, this question of that project. You had indicated in prior meetings that you thought it would take 3 of the units that we have altogether to meet our production capacities required for ourselves. Would I be wrong to say TechWin is already working to prepare the next 2?
I don't know if they are. They are working on installations of their system in other water utilities elsewhere in the world.
Okay.
So from a manufacturing standpoint, I can't say that they've manufactured what we would specifically need, but there are full-scale installations that they are working on. Saudi Arabia,
Correct.
Vietnam, and they have, I believe, 11 installations in South Korea.
Okay. So maybe given the, close working relationship we have with TechWin, maybe that would be the time to suggest that they build the subsequent 2 units for us in the U.S. and just build it to domestic standards, save the shipping, and maybe they have some more design work to do, but it can't be too crazy. They already know how the process works and so on. So how's that sound?
It makes a lot of sense, because one of the specifications that of ours, but it's to be in compliance with state and federal law, is the U.S. Steel Procurement Act. That I believe it's 80% of the steel content has to come from the United States. So believe it or not, there are some manufacturers, foreign manufacturers, that will actually ship steel over to their facilities, so that they're in compliance with that.
Right.
So from TechWin's standpoint, it would probably be much more economical for them to manufacture it here.
And then there's the question of tariffs. We have some beautiful tariffs that they could probably save if they, came here. And I'm telling you, people are ordering these things like never before. But yeah, I mean, it would make sense from that standpoint of team NEO and everything like that to bring production into this particular economic zone.
Yes.
Okay, good. Any other questions for Mr. Urinich? Okay, the next one is the water bundle. Like to give us that bundle of joy, Mr.
Yeah, so this is a picture of work that is taking place on Rosewood. This is actually storm sewer installation. This is part of the City of Avon Lakes portion of the project, but they've completed the storm sewer and water main work on North Point. They're going to be they've started the roadway replacement. On Rosewood and Delwood, the services are being transferred from the old water main to the new water main. They've gone through their testing, been accepted. They've also been doing some tree clearing on Parkwood in preparation for the storm sewer work that they're going to be beginning there in the coming weeks.
And you say this is the city of Avon Lake's responsibility, but it's our supervision that's going into it?
Correct.
Okay. So again, cooperative working between this sector of the city's business and the municipal government with the result of more excellent utilities installation in general. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Urinich on his very clear and concise reports? Okay, let's move on to the CUE report. Mr. Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have 2 items to report on this evening. Spoke about the one item earlier in the meeting. We currently have a request for qualifications out. That is being solicitation for qualifications for eligible information technology vendors, so our IT services. And this is so that we can establish a contract with our IT vendor, but also ensure that our cybersecurity policy and other IT-related policies are maintained, updated as needed. But also, this RFQ is going to ask that the vendor is going to implement an audit for our ISO 27000 standard, so that we can get that certification. Again, that was above and beyond what was required in the cybersecurity policy from the state, but it's in accordance with our quality standards. So that we look to have the submittals to us by November 21st. And we will go through our process of evaluating them, ranking them, scoring them, choosing, top 2 vendors, 3 vendors, depending on how many we receive proposals from. And then we would negotiate the scope and fee and then come back to the board for, a recommended award for that contract. So it's possible it could be in this end of December, but most likely in January.
Okay.
And
Questions for Mr. Monroe on that? Okay.
And the other item I have is we met yesterday with our partners at HDR regarding our design services for the water filtration plant, and also a new water transmission main from the water filtration plant to the Miller Road pump station that's owned by rural Lorain County Water Authority. What this is these are design services for the All Ohio Future Fund that the county was awarded money for some sewer design and construction, and a portion of that was on the water side for us. There are also rural Lorain County Water Authority will be doing their design work for their pump station, and approximately 15 miles of water transmission main to what has commonly been called the mega site, but of recent they have been calling it an advanced technology campus located in Lorain County. But this is going to be a significant undertaking as far as design goes. And we're doing it in a manner that accounts for our organic growth that we are going to need just for our current needs. But we also are taking into account the potential of a large industrial user that's going to need a significant amount of water. This is going to differ from our previous expansions at the plant, because this is going to include an additional intake, which going into Lake Erie is going to involve many agencies, submerged land lease, Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Ohio EPA, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So there's going to be a significant amount of work there. We met with HDR yesterday. They incorporated our comments to their draft scope, and they hope to have that back to us so that at our next meeting we can have that with a fee proposal. This would be an amendment under current contract, which was covered by the previous RFQ that we did for these design services. We've been very pleased with the work that HDR has done for us, and we look to continue on that. So again, more to come on that, but I wanted to give an update. I do not have any other items, Mr. Chairman. I know that the CUO does have one item to update you on.
By all means, Mr. Uranich.
Thank you. At the last meeting, the question was posed how site security at the former power plant was going to be handled once Palerg and Chara are off-site. For similar reasons, as we won't, discuss the details of our cybersecurity, he did specify and outlined what they have in place. As long as they own the property, they're going to ensure the security of the site. They have measures in place.
Okay, and let's assume, or maybe we shouldn't assume, but I'll suggest that the staff of the water utility put, certain items of interest before the people that are providing security, so that the security suits what we would like to see secured, not only what they think is good enough.
Yes,
Is that fair to say
Yes.
without giving anything away?
correct.
Because there are certain things that we would be particularly keenly interested in. Okay, questions for Mr. Uranich? Okay, is that it, Mr. Y?
That is,
Why
thank you.
not? Okay, any members with reports? I do not have any, Mr. Rush. Okay. Well, it's that time, Mr. Uranich. Back to you. Any input from the public?
There is not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to our last item besides adjournment, and that is the executive session in which we are being requested by Mr. Monroe to meet in executive session to discuss pending or imminent court action. We do not anticipate any formal action by the board upon reconvening the public meeting, which will simply be to adjourn. So would someone like to make the recommended motion?
Yes.
I turn to you, Mr. Rush.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to meet in executive session as allowed by Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22 G3, to discuss pending or imminent court action and to include the COE, the CUO, and a representative from Manzer Gavin.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll give it to Mr. Ricky. So we'll do a roll call vote. Mrs. Schnabel?
Yes.
Mr. Ricky?
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
Yes.
Chairman votes yes. We will now clear the room and go into executive session. Thank you all who were in the audience for your rapt attention tonight, and we will be back in 2 weeks.